What a week it has been over here, poddies. I have just some fun tales to tell you before we dig into today's episode with our incredible special guest. So I don't know how many of you out there are military spouses. And I don't know, sometimes I get emails from people who say, oh my goodness, it must be so hard being a military spouse and things. And I often think, well, no, it's not that bad. All other military spouses are like, Jess, what? But, there are times as a business owner, there are times when actually being a military spouse is pretty good because that person goes away for a period of time, a defined period of time, and you can kind of work on your own thing and sit at home and just do whatever you want. But it also means that the majority of the time when Sam is actually home, I get pretty well looked after. Sam's a really good cook, so he cooks all the time. He's really good at DIY, so I don't really have to fix things all that often. And we're in sort of like week 1 of him being away. And generally when Sam's away, things happen. I always joke about this. I'm like, oh my God, as soon as you go away, the dog, Max, always has to go to the vet. And we have, it's like a standing joke. And every single time that Sam goes away, Max has to go to the vet or Max gets sick. And we say it's because he really misses Sam, which he obviously does, which is, that's lovely. So this time, in the last 7 days since he has been away, I've had a sick dog who has been sick all over, not only a pair of leggings, but also a pair of jeans. And subsequently realized as an entrepreneur that I have basically nothing else to wear. So I don't know whether that happens to anyone else, but if it does, I feel you. My dog was sick on a pair of leggings and a pair of jeans. And I kind of looked around like, oh God, like other clothes. That's an interesting one. So we had that. And then I had to switch an actual light bulb by myself. Now, I know this is not a big deal. I'm a strong, independent woman. I can absolutely fit a light bulb. The downside, though, to being 5'3" is that you can't reach anything. And in the summer, no, not in the summer, near Christmas, we decided that we were going to get rid of our breakfast table and chairs. And so I have nothing to stand on anymore. So I had to use Max's little step that he uses to jump onto our bed in the mornings. I had to use that. So I used the dog step to fit the light. And then today, and this is the bit that I'm proudest of, right? So I've coped with the sick dog. I've coped with the light fitting. Today, I received an order in the post. So just before Sam left, we realized that there was this weird thing coming from our cooker hob. I don't know whether anyone else has these, but you have the little thing that you pull out when you've got lots of smoky things going on, and it kind of sucks all the air up. And we realized that there was something wrong with it. We're like, oh, there must be something wrong with this. It looks a bit unclean. So we took it all down. We washed it all out and everything. And only then did we realize, after having lived here since it was new built, so 5 years, only then did we realize that actually these hub things have filters that you're supposed to replace. And ours had never been replaced. And, it just wasn't something we knew about. And I laughed and thought, oh my God, we are disgusting. We are grim people. We've never changed this filter thing. And so immediately ordered filters. Now, if you've ever ordered cooking hob filter things before, you will know they don't come in standard sizes. You basically have to type in Zanussi cooker hub thing and it just comes up and it's like, oh, you're going to get this and you hope that it's the right fit. But today the filter turned up, and this is a classic case of sales and solving a problem and clear communication and managing expectations. So I'd ordered one of these filters thinking it will just pop up and it will be the right size for my oven because my oven was listed on there and all this kind of stuff. And it didn't. What actually turned up was about 5 meters of this filter material. So I've literally just spent the last 20 minutes trying to cut it exactly to size using the old disgusting filter that was in there. So I'm just throwing it out there. If you are doing DIY this week, you are a hero. And also, just for companies, please, for the love of God, don't send out 5 meters of cooker filter when I've only ordered one. I just want the one that works, and maybe I'll get another 5 years of use out of it. Probably not, now that I know that they're supposed to be changed. I'll be that obsessive person who does it every few months. But still, that is what I've been up to this week. Now, on the podcast today, I've got a really exciting guest that I'm really privileged to have on, and it's something that I don't share often enough, not just on the podcast, but I think on social media as well. And I've talked about it on certain episodes before, how testimonials are one of those things that in some ways it's become really difficult to share now, because it just feels like coaches are trying to take responsibility for client results, and ultimately it's down to the client, the hard work that they put in. But today I'm really privileged to have one of my clients, Lisa Johnson, on the show, talking about passive income, talking about the state of the online business industry, talking about integrity and what that really means. And I'm really privileged to have Lisa on. And actually I love working with Lisa. So Lisa actually did a VIP day with me in January, and she came to the VIP day. She wanted to know how she could maximize her smaller audience and continue to make big money and really maximize her launches and maximize her revenue. So she came to me, we did a 1-day intensive in January. It was very cold, very cold in January, but we met at the Langham Hotel in London, and we had a day together and mapped out exactly where she could be generating quick revenue in her business, where she could be maximizing her launches. And over the last 4 or 5 months, she's gone on to use that and actually have over 3 back-to-back 100K plus launches with a smaller audience. And we do actually talk about her audience size in the episode. So if you're somebody who's thinking, okay, well, I've only got like 500 people on the email list, or 1,000 people in a Facebook group or less, don't worry. This episode is going to allay a lot of those fears. All right. So you're going to get a sneak peek into what happened on Lisa's VIP day and helped her go ahead and create those results and put her on track for a 7-figure year in her 2nd year of business, which is a really, really exciting thing. So I hope you enjoy this episode. If you do, make sure you head over onto Instagram. That is where Lisa is super prevalent, and just share your key takeaways from it and, really dig in. Take some notes. It's an important one, and you can really find out how exactly you can be creating those big results without having to have a huge audience. I hope you enjoy it. And as always, if you ever want to talk to me about the kind of results that you can create in your business, then you can head over to smartleadersell.com and go to the contact me page, and you can actually book in a call. You can have a call directly with me where we talk about your business for 30 minutes and talk about how it's going, what goals you'd like to achieve, what's stopping you getting there, and setting an action plan just for you so that you can move forward, take action, and create the kind of results that you really want to be seeing for the rest of 2019. Enjoy the episode. So Poddies, how exciting is this? Obviously in the intro I've waxed lyrical about the lovely Lisa Johnson who is joining us today, but can I just say again how excited I am to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks.
I'm so excited about this, and it's one of those things. I came on your podcast, I want to say 5-6 months ago?
Yeah, it was about that now.
It felt like a long time, and now you've kind of emigrated, I'm going to use the word emigrated, over to YouTube. And you're doing all these fancy YouTube videos instead. And I must admit, when I did look at them, I was like, oh God, maybe I should get back into video. And then I just thought, no. It's just the whole hair, makeup, effort thing going on.
Oh, you're so good at this. I was rubbish at it.
It's one of those things you just find your niche. I'm like, yeah, messy pajamas, podcasting is my thing. And you're like super glamorous and going out there and doing all the things.
I just wasn't good at it. I'm one of those people that I have to be able to talk over people all the time. And every time I did this, people were like, yeah, you can't talk over, you have to wait till the other person has stopped talking.
No, that's pointless. Let's just never do that. That's not how conversations work though, is it?
No, so much better on YouTube, honestly.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm loving it. I've been excited about the new channel, and I've been having a little stalk, and I love the blooper reel and everything like that.
Oh.
If you haven't met Lisa yet, then her YouTube channel is a great place to go and check her out. So I'm really excited to have you on the show for a number of reasons, because I know the conversation we're going to have today is A, going to be epic, and B, we've got a lot of things to kind of cover in a 35-minute-ish kind of spot. And so I just want to start with how we met and how you kind of came into my world, because it's something that, I always find pretty interesting. Like, how do people find you in the first place? Especially when I'm just sort of hanging out on email and not Facebooking. So how did you find the Smart Leader Sell universe?
Your podcast.
Ah.
It was actually a podcast. So I was looking for people who were doing podcasts, and I especially was looking for people in the UK, because I don't think there are that many people doing really good practical business podcasts in the UK. And so there I was having a look, and I've got all the usual people, and there you were. And so I had a little listen and was a bit hooked, which is what I do. I kind of get obsessed by somebody and then listen to everything that they've ever done. And then I think that you were on a podcast that I think you were on Janet Murray's podcast. And I was on her podcast. And so I heard of you again there. And then I obviously hired you.
And it was so funny because I can't remember who it was. I think it's one of my other former clients, Sam Barefoot, who had said to me, there's this lady you need to connect with, Lisa Johnson. I was like, oh yeah. And then somehow we ended up being like Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And one day out of the blue, I just got this really nice message from you, and you're like, look, I'm looking for a coach, and I think it needs to be you. And can we have a chat about it? And I was like, sure.
And you know what I'm like? I'll just be like, I already knew at that point I wanted to work with you, because I only ever get in touch with people when I've properly done my research and spoken to people who have already used somebody. I've been burnt before, and so I already knew I wanted to work with you, and we just went from there. But that was January this year.
And it's so funny because one of the things that I really love about you, and we'll talk about throughout our episode, is the fact that you are a quick decision maker. And I think that makes a massive difference in business, being a quick decision maker. So you are somebody who completely embodies that. You make quick decisions, you adapt like really, really fast to different situations. So what is it that's kind of inspired you to start doing that? Or has that been the way that you've always been?
I haven't always been like that. I used to be a lot more cautious because money-wise, I grew up with no money, and so I couldn't make decisions like this. And obviously I've got 7-year-old twins. So when they were very little, I had to be a lot more careful. But I then read this thing that said that there was a survey where they interviewed like all of the top business people, Warren Buffett and Alan Sugar, all these different people. And they asked them a load of questions. And one of the things they asked is, what traits do you have? And there was only 2 that every single person on that list had that were the same. And one was taking big risks, as you can imagine. And the second thing was making decisions really quickly, so that if you fail fast. And that stuck with me. And so every time I've done something or put something out there, and not everything I've done has worked, people only see the things that have. But when I've put something out there, or I've decided I want to work with somebody, I will make a decision really quickly, so that if it's the wrong decision, it doesn't matter too much.
I really like this, and it's one of the reasons that I loved working with you, and that I love seeing what you do, because that phrase there about failing fast, so many people worry about failing, and it's hard, it's painful, and it's embarrassing, right? Everyone assumes that failing is really embarrassing because they think everybody will know when they fail. Now, I've been on the on the front end of a fair few public failures and personal private ones, but I don't know that I necessarily worry about it anymore. I'm kind of like, okay, cool, I sold something and 0 people bought it. Never mind, what can I do next? Or why didn't that work? Or what went wrong? What did I not do properly? Yeah. And I think you work in the same sort of industry where we do see it. Like, we see lots of people who are so afraid to fail. What do you think about that?
I think you have to fail. I don't think that you can actually be very good in your business, and especially about teaching others about business, if you haven't failed, because you have no idea how to deal with it. I've failed many, many times. Some people will know of some, and some things that I've done you'd never even know. For instance, in the first year of my business, I lost £27,000 in Facebook ad spend.
Oh,
in the space of about 6 weeks. So that was what you would call quite a big failure. And I told people about that because I think it's important that we stop glossing up business. Like, business can be brilliant. It has allowed me to travel around the world and make all this money, but it can be brutal. It's not all fun and games all the time, and there are going to be failures, but as long as you learn something from every failure, I think it's worth failing.
I massively agree, and I think it actually sets you on the path to success faster, because you kind of get over it. Once you failed once, you're a bit like, oh, okay, well, if that's as bad as it can be,
kill me.
Yeah. And in sales, it's interesting because we always teach people to look for the no's. When you're working in a corporate sales environment, everyone's like, right, look for the no's. Go out there and aim to get 10 no's today. And people think they're crazy. They're like, but why do I want to go out there and just get rejected? And it's just because it teaches you to stop being afraid of that rejection.
Yeah.
When you look for the no's, you're always going to get a couple of yeses along the way. So it provides twofold benefits.
Definitely. And if you are worried always about failing, you're never going to take a risk. You're never going to put something out there, because what if it goes wrong? What if it goes right?
Exactly. And that's the big thing, what's that? There's like an inspirational, I'm using air quotes, obviously, an inspirational meme that goes around the internet. And I see it every so often, and it's the Dorothy's wizard red shoes. Have you seen this? And she's wearing like the stripy socks or something. And it says, it's a quote from, I think, Glinda the Good Witch. And she says, what if I fail? And Glinda the Good Witch says, but my darling, what if you fly? And it's really lovely. It's a really lovely quote. And it is inspirational, but you just see it so friggin' often. Yeah. You're like, I don't care. But it's true, right? You have to look at always, instead of looking at what happens if I fail, start looking at what happens if it all goes right. And actually, in some cases, Denise Duffield Thomas always talks about this. She was more afraid to be successful, when she looked at what was stopping her taking action. She was worried that she was going to end up on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday and have to be up at like 4 a.m. and get her hair and makeup done and like all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I have clients that have that absolute worry of success because they don't know what it means to them. And so if you don't know what it's going to look like, that can be terrifying. And so people are really scared of that. I've seen it a lot, but you have to not use failure as your excuse for not doing things. It's just, you just can't.
I really like this. And I think as well, it's one of those things that you have to demonstrate resilience when it comes to running a business. Now, your business has kind of skyrocketed in the last 6 months. And I definitely want to talk about that later, because I think, it's incredibly inspirational, but also it's one of those things that when we're all looking for stories on, well, how do we build our business and can it really happen and things like that, some people shy away of the reality of what that really looks like. And I think resilience has been this huge part of your journey. Certainly since I've known you, there have been a lot of things that you've overcome professionally.
Yeah, because it's not easy. When you grow fast, people notice you. When you're noticed, you're not always going to get good. You're not always going to get the good there. So I've had to be resilient because I have had, I've seen the dark side of social media and being visible, and I'm very honest and transparent in everything I do. Integrity I hold very highly as one of my values. And that means that I tell the truth about everything. And that's not always, the thing that people want to hear.
That's the interesting thing though, isn't it? Truth. So we've touched on the show on integrity a few times and what it actually means and what it means to operate with integrity. And I think it's so interesting because before we hit record, you guys won't have heard this, but before we hit record, we were having this conversation about collaboration over competition and what that really means and what that really looks like. And it's interesting how integrity kind of is the banner by which the majority of business owners, certainly in the online marketing space, are measuring themselves. Everybody is talking about integrity. It has become the new authenticity, right? It's the new buzzword.
It's almost just a buzzword now, which is annoying.
It is. And this is the thing. I'm like, there have been people like me and you and, a few good friends of mine, Tara Newman, Heather Gray, to mention a few, who for like 5 years have been talking about integrity. And then suddenly everyone jumps on it. It's like, right, okay, cool. We're all going to operate with integrity. Until something happens.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking to you about. Like,
exactly.
Unity over competition until the competition's actually there. I think people are brilliant at talking it and saying that that's what they believe in and putting all of these integrity memes up and all of that kind of morals over money and all of that. But you can't just say it.
And that's the thing. It's so interesting. It's not enough to say anymore. And that is how the industry, I think, has shifted over the last 5 years, is that when I first came online, dinosaur that I am, there were lots of people who were just putting out, this is my client, they've had a 15K month, that's my client, they've had a 20K month, I've just done a 100K month, all come and buy from me. And then it was like this weird, okay, well, actually, here are like 70, 80, 90, 100 people who are not getting any kind of results. And so people started to get more wary and buyers became a lot more savvy about what they were choosing.
And they should, if we're honest.
Yeah, 100%. Buyers should absolutely be more wary about what they're choosing. They should absolutely do more research, more due diligence on the person they're picking to take it to the next level, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it hits all of us. I've had a coach that I paid £30,000 to that I didn't get anything from, and that's on me. I didn't do my due diligence.
But also, I think it's hard. It's getting harder. And I kind of started this conversation or actually I didn't, but the amazing Tara Newman started this conversation a few months ago in her podcast, I believe. And it was this idea, we were talking about it offline, but this idea that actually people are buying, so like you've had a really negative experience with a coach, I've had really negative experiences with certain coaches and masterminds and things like that, but I would never give testimonials out for those experiences because I didn't believe in them. But what we're now seeing is this culture of like fear and anxiety and not being one of the group. Like if you don't go out and say, oh my goodness, this person is amazing, even if behind closed doors you're kind of like, oh my god, this is
and I've seen this. That's exactly what I've seen. So I was kind of, I don't want to say forced, but very strongly suggested that if I didn't do a testimonial, it wouldn't be very good for me in the industry. And I have found out from other people that they've had that happen to them, where they've given testimonials and then you feel so guilty because the reason that you worked with somebody was because of a testimonial, and now you've given a testimonial on somebody that you don't really believe in, and it takes guts to tell that person, actually, no, I don't want you to use my testimonial anymore.
100%. 100%.
What I've had to do.
Well, it's so weird. Like I had it recently on a sales page popped up of a random product that I had never been involved with, like never endorsed, never been involved with. But somebody had seen fit to use a screenshot of something from like 2-3 years ago that I'd commented in a free group or something like that. And I went to that person, I just said, hey, look, you don't have any rights to use that.
No,
that's not a testimonial for this product that you're selling. And it's really uncomfortable for me that you perpetuate that and that people come and ask me about this product because they've seen my name on a page. And they went back and forth with me. And in the end, I said, look, you know what? It's cool. I'm just going to have my lawyer deal with it. And they'll ask you to take it down and all good. And as soon as that happened, they sent me this email that was really, oh, well, now you're going to drag legal into it. We have this huge thing in this industry that, you know, people don't want to go down the proper processes. We feel like we're everybody's friend. We can't ever turn around and say, hey, no, here's the boundary. This is unacceptable behavior. Thank you. Goodbye.
And you're really right. And I'm learning that as I go along. Like you said, I'm quite new. I've only been a coach for 2 years. And because it's grown fast, I've had to deal with these kind of things very quickly. And at the beginning, I found confrontation really hard to deal with. But I am getting a lot better. And now when things happen, and you know, you've seen the confrontations and stuff I have online, it's not been great. Immediately, I'll just get lawyers. And I can't, you know, I haven't got time for that. I'm at a place in my business where I'm working on the business. You know, I'm really busy. I don't have the energy or the time to put anything into this. Whereas before, if I saw something online, I would defend. I'd feel like it's not fair and that this isn't right and there's no integrity in this. And so I'd always be fighting a corner. And now I don't have time to fight a corner. I outsource to lawyers who fight my corner. And it's easier.
Well, that's the thing. And they're paid for it and they're much better at it. When we say this, I'm like, oh my God, my legal team, they love it. And I'm just like, oh my God, the drama llama attitude of a Facebook group. You know, yes, we want everybody. And I think, again, this is a key distinction between like integrity and this morals over money piece. It is not my job or your job or anyone's job to go in and fight a fight just because it's happening. And that's the thing that we get so caught up in. Everyone's like, but it's integrity. And I'm like, look, I see so many things on a daily basis in this industry that lack integrity. But if I fought all of them, I would have no time to spend on my business.
No business, because I'm fighting these integrity pieces. And that is the problem with it. And I think that the biggest thing you can do in your business to show that integrity is a real value for you is live it. Because people have noticed how much I live it. It's why I get clients, because people see it in the things I do, not in the things I say. And once you start doing that, that will separate you from all the people shouting it.
100%.
Yeah. But you don't need to fight every battle. You can let the lawyers do that and it's fine.
Well, that's it. And I think the other thing is, you know, one of the key things about having integrity is you can either decide to waste your business opportunities spending your time fighting all the fights, or you can just have the very best business that you can, and you prove your integrity by working to capacity with the right people and helping them get the right results and actually investing time and energy in the people who are paying you, you know. And that's the really important thing, and that's something you do incredibly well, and it's something that has resulted in your business seeing a massive upward curve.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that's actually made that happen, me concentrating just on my clients and not on the noise out there from other people and what they think, is to not only want to, I think I used to want to be liked by everyone. And I got to a point where I realized that I was never going to be liked by everyone, and that it was okay not to be liked by everyone. And now that I know that, things are easier. Like, I've let that go. I've surrendered to the fact that I do not have to be liked by everyone. And that has allowed me to now concentrate on the things that matter.
I love that. So let's talk about where your business has gone, because the trajectory has been pretty huge. And we were talking about this before we hit record. You know, last year you had a specific goal, you wanted to hit a specific revenue amount. And this year you're probably about to surpass that with ease. So let's talk about what that journey actually looks like.
So I started just over 2 years ago. So last year was my first full year. And in that year, I had hoped to get 6 figures. I got multi-6 figures and got to about 500,000. So this year I wanted to do that again and maybe have a little bit more than that. But, you know, in my head I was thinking it'd be great if I could get to like the 700,000 mark. But it looks like, and I'm never going to say never, but it looks like I'll get to the 7-figure mark either by the end of this year or very shortly afterwards, which isn't bad for year 2, I always think. Although I am that annoying person. It's always like never really satisfied.
It's so funny because I was exactly the same as you, and I did it in year 2, and then I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. And I didn't really know what to do once I got there. I kind of just was like, oh, cool. And I remember like buying a nice bottle of wine and just kind of sitting down and reading a book for a couple of hours and being like, oh, well, that was cool.
I think that we want something, but we don't know always why we want it. Like I always wanted a 6-figure launch.
Yeah.
And then this year I had 3 6-figure launches in the first 5 months. And so once I got to the last one, I wanted a 6-figure launch. I was like, yeah, I want a 6-figure launch. And I got 128,000. I hadn't spent any money on Facebook ads or anything like that with that. But I didn't know what to do with that. So once I got it, people in my audience were just like, we thought you'd be like happier than you are. I was like, I think I'm happy, but I don't really know what to do with this. I don't really know what to do now.
It's just a lot of pressure. Like, you know, and I think, and I said this to you when we worked together in January, you know, you get there and then you're like, oh, that wasn't as difficult as I expected.
Yeah.
And then because it's not as difficult, you're almost like, okay, well, it's fine. Like,
yeah, you almost need it to be difficult, which is ridiculous because I pride myself on my business being simple. And as you know, I'm now at like 90% passive income.
Yeah.
And so I pride myself on that. And yet when it happens and it's as easy as I tell everybody it is, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should make things harder for myself in some way, which I know is a ridiculous self-sabotaging thing that I'm not going to do.
Well, I'm very glad about that. I'm very glad about that. You know, just on the cuff there, guys, you know, if you're listening to this, don't think, how can I make it as complicated as possible? Just look at the lazypreneurs like me, like Lisa, and think, okay, cool, well, it really doesn't have to be that difficult. And, you know, in about 6 months' time, I'll just kick back, glass of wine, bit of a book, and celebrate a 6-figure launch. Easy.
Yeah, exactly that.
I love it. So what do you think like changed for you? What was the breakthrough moment? Because it's very different. I always say this to people, I'm like, look, whatever level you're trying to get to in your business revenue wise, it's new level, new devil. You know, when you're trying to get to 100K, arguably I would say trying to get to your first 100K in business is harder than trying to get to any other revenue.
Definitely. I think that first 6 figures is so hard because you're still working out who you are and what your message is and, you know, what's unique about you, what's different about you. And until you have that, your message really and your story and what makes you you and why you're relatable to your ideal client, it's a struggle to get there and it can take a long time. But once you've got that sorted, then it's just a case of scaling. And with me, the biggest change for me was I got the multi-6-figure bit and the 6-figure bit by working one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, look at me, I'm successful. I've got 6 figures and I'm fully booked. And everybody had always told me, if you're fully booked, you're successful. But I was fully booked and I did not feel successful. I was knackered. And the life that I had thought I wanted, which was to travel all the time with my twins and to have, you know, this amazing life of experiences, couldn't happen because I was too busy working one-to-one and people were like handing me their money saying, I'd like to work with you. And I couldn't take it because I was full. And so the big change for me, I started hearing people talking about passive income must have been about 8-9 months ago now, and decided I wanted a bit of that. So learn everything I could. And you know me, I'm a big investor in myself. So I paid a good 100 grand-ish to learn everything I could, courses, coaches about passive income, semi-passive income streams. So I learned everything about it. And then I started to put some things into practice. and just changed my business model completely to make it all passive or semi-passive. And now that's what I teach.
And that's the thing. It's so interesting. And I love this for two reasons. One is that you talk about investment, the importance of investing in yourself. And that's time, energy, and money, right? So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I don't have $100 grand to plonk down and learn about passive income or any other topic. Yeah, don't worry about
it. There's other ways. Yeah. I mean, if I didn't have the money at that point, like I didn't, when I first started in business 2 years ago, I had no money. I was £30,000 in debt. So I couldn't invest. So all I did was read.
And that's it. And also implement. That's the thing about you. You're a really, like we've talked about, you're a fast action taker and you're a good implementer. Yeah.
And even if the action is wrong, do it anyway. Yeah. And then
see what happens, move forward from there. So I love that bit. I love the fact that you're invested in yourself, time, money, energy into learning something, becoming an expert in it, and then selling it. But also the whole point around building a business that works for you. And I talk about this a lot on the podcast, and everybody's fully aware that my business is a lot about running funnels and that just is how it is, because I'm somebody who inherently, I don't want to spend tons of time in Facebook groups. I don't want to work with lots and lots of people one-to-one for the exact reasons that you've talked about and, for reasons that we've talked about on the podcast previously. But it's one of those things where you have to define the business model that's going to suit you.
And your life.
Well, that's it. We get so caught up in what's best for other people. There'll be people who listen to this episode and go, oh my God, if Jess and Lisa have funnels, I need to get me some of that.
Yeah.
And actually, if you're somebody who really loves working one-to-one and your dream is to, take on 10 super high level premium clients, 20,000 or 30,000 a go.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
No, and some of my clients do that. They want that. And they say, oh, I'd hate to do what you do. And that's brilliant. And it's why we have different business models and different ways of being able to do things to suit the lifestyle you really want. I don't enjoy like big one-to-ones. I don't mind a day one-to-one. I quite like that. But I don't like doing 3 to 6 months one-to-one. And it's time. I prefer to spend my time doing other things and teaching in big groups and that kind of thing.
I think it's nice that you so early on took a stand for what you actually wanted, your business model and your lifestyle, because again, you've really crafted that and honed that over the last 7 to 8 months. Is that lifestyle that you want? And I'm very rarely on Facebook, but when I am, I usually do see posts from Lisa because she travels so often. I love looking at other people's travel stories. And, so I see your posts and your little boys are there and they're in first class or whatever, and they're having an absolute blast. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's so nice. Like you're living what you're preaching.
But and you're living what is hard. It was difficult to do that because at the beginning, when I started talking to people about, I don't want to do one-to-one, they were very much like, well, you're too early in your business to go passive. Like you need to be doing, there's all these rules. You need to be doing one-to-one and honing your craft for the first 5 years and all of this kind of, quite frankly, crap. Mm-hmm. And so it stopped me. A lot of the time I was stopped from doing it and told that isn't what I should do. And it was only when I stopped listening to people and went, well, I don't care. I want it all to be passive. So I'm doing it and got my courses and memberships and everything out there and it worked. And now I have people coming to me who are like, they want passive from the beginning. They want a business model where it's one-to-one, and that's absolutely fine. And so they don't.
And that's the thing, you get that clarity as you start building your business. Some people, you have to, like you and I, you go through that period of, right, okay, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to bring in the cash flow. And that's the great thing about one-to-one. It does bring in and generate revenue quickly, but also it generates the ability to help your clients troubleshoot quicker. It gives you the ability to understand, like, where are people going to fall down in this process? What are the pitfalls? But once you have that clarity on where you want your business model ultimately to go, you have to start working towards that. And that's what, you're teaching in your Passion for Passive courses and your GSD Society, is that whole piece around, well, you've got to build the business that you want, not something that you see reflected in every single book or every single Facebook ad, right?
Is that you do need business foundations, but those business foundations don't need to be the same as every other person you're looking at. Your foundations can be perfect for you. So for instance, I have a client that she likes the theatre. And so she wanted to make passive income. So it doesn't have to be about what what your business thing is. Like I teach LinkedIn or, I teach sales. It could be something that you just really enjoy. She liked the theatre. So she set up a membership for people that liked the theatre. And she now makes 10K a month on that.
I love that.
What foundations do you put in there one-to-one? It doesn't have to be that way. There are different models of doing things. And once people start kind of opening up a bit to the possibilities of what they can actually have and achieve, and not thinking there's always a step-by-step process, like do it differently, like just buck the trend.
Well, this is the thing. I think so often we look for this blue ocean, like everyone's looking for blue ocean at the moment. And they're coming to me and to you and saying, well, you know, I want to do this idea, but, you know, XYZ people have already done it and they're doing it like this. And I always say to people, I'm like, do you know what? Having competition in the market is a good thing, because it means that other people are doing it, they're doing it successfully, and people are paying them for it. So instead of looking blue ocean and looking for a brand new idea that nobody's ever done, go and look for a way that you can buck the trend, that you can make it different, that you can make it your own. You know, and that's what I think is you've really cultivated with things like your membership over the last 7 or 8 months.
I was not the first person to do a female entrepreneurial membership, you know.
Exactly. Everyone's got one.
Right. Yeah. And that worked, you know. The people that are coming to me, they related to me because I'm not ultra professional. You know, I have Wine Down Friday, where I have a glass of wine with everyone and we just basically rant about things. We very much are the people that have never felt like we fit in. And that works for my clients. And that's not to say that it works for everybody, but it doesn't need to. I'd be a lot more worried if people were looking at a business idea that was brand new that didn't already have a market, because why doesn't it?
But that's the thing, isn't it? If it doesn't already have market, or if somebody's done it and all you can ever see is a history of failure, then it's not safe.
Yeah.
Not blue ocean. Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Let someone who's got tons of money like Jeff Bezos go and run that thing.
I'm never follow and do it a bit differently.
I love it. So why passive income? Because, you know, I talk about this a lot, and I run through phases with my business where I go, oh my goodness, I love having funnels, and I do, and that's not a phase that ever changes, but love having funnels, really interested in it. I get very geeky about the numbers and the metrics and the data, because all that stuff just gets me going. And then I have that other piece of me that's like, but people. You know, I built a business to connect with people. And so actually some of the things that I run, because the funnels are completely automated and separate from me and my business, and, you know, they have that almost complete autonomy, I don't get to see those people, you know, and that's the kind of rock and a hard face of passive income, or truly passive income. So what made you decide, yes, this is going to be the way forward for me?
Well, weirdly enough, there's a story to that. So the first thing I did was do purely passive. And so I had courses out there that people were buying and they could just go off and do themselves. And I never had anything to do with them. I didn't know whether they failed or passed, or, you know. And then I realized that actually, for all my thinking that I wanted everything to be passive so I could just travel around the world, I did miss that connection. So actually every single thing that I do now is semi-passive. There's no passive anymore. And that's because I'm somebody that thrives on credit. So I need to see that people are having brilliant results because it makes me feel good. So all of the stuff that I'm doing is semi-passive. So for instance, I have a course called Fabulous Foundations, and it runs over 10 months. And I make around £100,000 each time I put it out. I put it out twice a year. And all I have to do is go live for 1 hour a month to teach it live. There's all the opt-in, all the PDF workbooks and everything have obviously already been done, because it's like the 5th or 6th time I've done it. But you can't call it real passive income, because I'm doing 10 hours of work during that year. But for that 10 hours, I'm making 100 grand. So it's still semi-passive. You know, you're not doing as much work. You're not trading time for money at the end of the day. Normally, to trade that much time for money, you wouldn't make 100K from 10 hours.
Well, that's the thing. And I think it's also, you know, when we talk about passive, and I love that you've defined this even, you know, as passive as opposed to what I would call leveraged income.
Yeah, leveraged is semi. Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's really important to note that difference. And also the point that you've picked up there about the person who does it the first time is probably not going to make 128 grand on their first launch.
Oh, no, I think the first time, the first time you do it, and also the profit margin is so much lower the first time you do it, because first time you're doing it, you're having to write everything, you're having to grow your audience, you're having to put Facebook ads out there, you're doing all of these different things that it's costing your time, which is paid for, and so the profit margins are lower. And I think the first time I put a course out there, I made 30,000. But each time you do it, you're perfecting your process. And you're not having to reinvent the wheel every time you launch. Launching is a massive part for me, and I tweak it each time to make it a bit better and a bit better. But also, the PowerPoint presentations are done, PDFs are done. So much of it's already done. The course area is already there. Your Facebook group you're used to running. So all of those things are done. So the second, third, fourth time, your profit margin, my profit margin now is 92%, and on each course that I do. And that's because I've perfected the process and I've already done the work. You have to think of passive income or semi-passive as not completely passive. Like, money doesn't just rain down from the sky on you because you've got passive income. You have to have an asset up front. And my asset is the course. My asset is the membership area.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things, just like if you had a spare room, you bought a room in your house, you painted it, you put a bed in there, that's your asset. You've already had to do the work on it, but then you will collect money from it every month, time and time again, without having to do anything.
And that's the thing. That's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because passive income, like you're saying there, you can almost get bored with it because it's the same thing that you're selling again and again. And so a lot of people, you know, I think when we talk about success in the industry, people look and they go, oh, that person's so successful because they had this huge launch or that huge launch or this happened. And actually what they don't realize is that that's probably been honed over time. You know, people always ask us about cash creation, how it's so successful. I say, well, we've launched it 9 times. Next will be our 10th round, you know, and it's not because, you know, we launch it every 2 weeks or anything. It's because every single round we look at what worked, what didn't work, what can we make better, what can we make more efficient. And unfortunately with passive or semi-passive income, you are always going to be having to sell the same thing. And so sometimes that's going to feel boring and you'll look for, okay, well, how can I make it more challenging, or should I just go and sell something else? So how do you keep it interesting for yourself?
So one of the things I do, I'm very like metrics. I don't love the metrics, but I understand the importance of them. So one of the things that I do is I always check the metrics. Where did people drop off? Where did people not like it? And I make it better. So for instance, Passion for Passive, the one that I've just released, is completely different to the ones I've done before. I've actually got somebody doing a sales funnel for each person because that's where they dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll always try and find times to refine the process and to refine what's actually in the course to get better results every single time. But the other thing I do is I add to my income streams. So if I've done something 4 times, then I will add a new income stream in. So for instance, the membership came after my first course because I realized how I could make that better. I've just added associate coaches to the membership to make that different and better. Then I added a new course, which was Passion for Passive. I've added another course, creating communities about how to grow Facebook groups. As soon as I hear my audience asking for something, I will create something for them. And by doing that, you don't get bored because there's always something else you're needing to learn. But also I'm a big believer in learning. So I'm in masterminds and, you know, I coach with lots of different people because I'm learning stuff all the time and trying out new things. You know, I did a retreat last year, which was fun. By having passive and semi-passive income, it leaves you the time to do the things that you really, really want to do. So one of the things I really want to do is help people that have been bullied, either online or as a child, because I think I was bullied a lot when I was younger, and it makes a massive impact on what you do as an adult. And so lots of the things I'm doing now, because I have the time to, are to raise money for bullying charities, like having inspiration days in London where people come and speak and all the money goes to Bullying UK. And that's now the thing that I'm really excited about, the thing that's my passion, but I couldn't do that unless I had the time because my passive income was making me money.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You have to, I think sometimes we're so, not desperate, that's the wrong word, but sometimes we so want the end result that we forget, you know, we want the end result of, I only want to work 10 hours a week, or I only want to do these things, or I want to be location independent, or X, Y, Z, that we forget that we actually have to go through maybe 6 months to a year of doing things in a non-ideal way.
Oh yeah.
So that we can get that result and so that we can keep refining, you know. It's one of those things, you can't coach endlessly at the beginning with lots of different people because it doesn't work, right? You follow too many different strategies and then you get caught up and you don't really know what you're doing and what you're not. But as time goes by and you become more experienced as a business owner and you do more and you're making more money, you can coach with whoever you like, because at that point you are resilient enough to say, okay, I know this is going to work for me and for my audience and be interesting, and those bits over there I can just leave. That's okay.
And you can pick people for what you want to know. So I wanted your PR, I coach with Selena Sue, you know, because she's brilliant at that. Like I wanted to know more about sales, I coach with you. It's about picking people that are good at the thing you want. So people generally will only come to me if they want some kind of semi-passive or passive income stream. They wouldn't come with me if they're like a massive lover of one-to-one. You know, it's not my thing. But I think that you do what you said about in the first 6 months to a year, you're going to have to work in a non-ideal way. When it comes to passive and semi-passive income, that's really important to know, because it takes some time to grow your audience and to set these things up. It's not something you can do overnight. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a sustainable long-term business model, which means it comes with building those foundations for a sustainable long-term business model. And I think that's what most people get wrong about passive income.
I love that. I love that. And I think it's, you know, that's a hugely key point. Like if you're somebody who's already making, you know, 5-10K a month and you've got a sizable audience, or you're growing a sizable audience, you're working hard to grow a sizable audience, that's when passive income is for you. You know, because you're already doing the right things. Yeah, it's much easier. When, you know, I remember when I first started out, if somebody had said to me, just go and create a sales funnel, I could, the actual funnel part, I could have created no problem. But I didn't have any traffic.
Yeah, and that's the issue. When you're first starting, it's why in Passion for Passive, I have a whole like 3 modules on growing an audience, because so many people are selling passive income without that audience piece. Without an audience, you've got no passive.
You've got nothing. Like, and this is the thing, you know, this is what we always talk about on the podcast. Sales is easy. You only need 2 things. One of them is an offer that meets your audience's needs, you know, and it's about that consistent market research that you've just been talking about. But the other thing is you need eyeballs, you need some form of traffic, you know. So if you're at that stage where you're like, I have maybe 10 people in a Facebook group, sell something that is higher ticket, sell one-to-one, sell something that's going to be high ticket, high transformation, and give you that money to reinvest in traffic building.
Yeah, and you're brilliant at that, because you always are like, it doesn't matter if you've got 30 people there, you've got 30 people there. Yeah. I was always worried that I don't have more than 2,000 people.
See, I love this. So when, to give you guys a sneak peek, when Lisa and I worked together in January, we did a day intensive, and Lisa was like, well, you know, I don't really have like a massive list. I'm like, you've got loads of people on your list. You know, you had, I think it was like 1,500 at the time.
Yeah,
like,
I had 1,500 in January.
Yeah. And you know, you had 1,500 people on your list, and then you went out there and you're like, oh, okay, fine. And we went through some strategies, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh yeah, 6-figure launch, no Facebook ads.
Like, it was like 2 weeks later.
I'm like looking at you like, yeah, no, that is how you can roll. So, you know, if you are sat there and you're thinking, I've only got 100 people on my list or 200 people on my list, if you divide that by the Lisa Johnson percentage score, that means that you have the capability to do like a 30-40 grand launch. You just don't know.
And you never really know what your conversion rate is until the first time you do it anyway.
Exactly. Thank you so much for coming on today. Seriously, it's been an absolute dream, and I will have to get you back, because I just think there are so many things that we can always jam about. But where can people find you? Because this is really important. You know, if people are looking to embrace passive income or leveraged income or semi-passive income, whatever you want to call it, into their businesses, where's the best place for them to come and find you and learn from you?
The best place is, I have a free Facebook group called The Fabulous 5%, and that's the best place. So I'm usually hanging out in there. We've got 3,500-ish people in there, all talking about passive income on a daily basis. So yeah, hop on over to there.
I love it. So if you have been as wowed by Lisa as I was when I met her, and continue to be as I watch the business journey through, you know, the months and years to come, as if she doesn't delete me as a Facebook friend, she does regular calls on that kind of thing. I feel privileged, given that I'm like never on social media. I feel privileged that I always make the cut. But if you do, in all seriousness, want to learn more about passive income, semi-passive income, leveraged income, make sure you head over to her free Facebook group, The Fabulous 5%. I hear amazing things about it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
No, you're so welcome. And guys, if you have enjoyed the episode, make sure that you head over to social media. Lisa is prolific on Instagram, so you can find her over on Insta and tag her and let her know what was your big takeaway from today. And you can obviously always tag me too. It might just take me a couple of days to get around to actually seeing it. Because at the time that this airs, I will be on my summer holidays, chilling, hopefully somewhere warm, glass of wine in hand, and celebrating the fact that the great British summertime will have hopefully started, and that there will be some semblance of sunshine.
You wish.
Dream on, Jess, dream on. Right, guys, it's been a fabulous episode. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on. If you've enjoyed it, like I say, please make sure you head over onto social and share your key takeaways. We always love to know when we're doing well. And I'll see you in Monday's episode for another awesome sales insight session.